The photo albums were scattered on the ground. Two people were lost in a passionate kiss. The protagonist's mind was blank, still trying to comprehend how they had ended up in this situation, but he couldn't pull away. Too lost in the moment. It had all started that morning, when the protagonist was sitting in his room, watching videos of people recreating old photos. He wanted to try recreating some memories too, but realized he didn't have any childhood photos. His mom had taken all the photos with her when she left him. Just then, he received a call from his childhood friend. His friend asked if he was busy. The protagonist denied it and asked if his friend wanted to come over and hang out. His friend said he felt too lazy to go out and instead invited the protagonist over, asking him to bring some snacks along the way. The protagonist agreed and made sure to buy plenty of snacks for his friend. When he arrived, he saw his friend sitting on the bed with all the photo albums open. His friend teased him for actually coming, which made the protagonist angry. Quickly, his friend explained that he had wanted to visit, but had stumbled across the photo albums and got distracted. He started rambling about how cleaning was the best way to remind yourself of things, but the protagonist only felt annoyed at his chatter. Then, suddenly, a photo caught his attention. He excitedly asked his friend when this photo had been taken. His friend laughed and explained that it was from their camping trip in primary school. These were photos of the two of them over the years. Looking at these old photos brought back a wave of nostalgic childhood memories. The protagonist felt a deep happiness as he flipped through the pages. His friend, seeing him like that, couldn't help but smile. They had known each other for so long, and when the protagonist asked for confirmation, his friend reminded him that he was born 23 years ago. That was how long they had been together. The protagonist was shocked to realize it had already been so many years. At first he thought his friend was joking, but his friend reassured him it was true. The thought struck him. They had always been together, every step of the way. He wondered, maybe they weren't just childhood friends. Maybe his friend was his punishment for sins in a past life. Suddenly, a realization struck Kobe like a lightning bolt, and he loudly exclaimed his disbelief at not having thought of the idea sooner. His sudden behavior startled Aiden, who looked at him with concern and asked if he had lost his mind. Ignoring the question, Kobe told Aiden to wait while he quickly searched for something on his phone. After a moment, he turned the screen toward his friend, showing him a video. Kobe explained that he wanted to recreate old photos, but admitted that he didn't have any of his own. As Aiden watched the video, he finally understood what Kobe was talking about. Kobe suggested that if Aiden wasn't against the idea, they could take some photos together instead. Aiden silently observed Kobe, noticing the hopeful expression on his face. After a moment of consideration, he smiled and agreed to the idea. Kobe was surprised by how easily Aiden accepted and felt momentarily confused, though his confusion soon turned into nervous excitement when Aiden's charming smile made his heart race unexpectedly. Aiden asked if he could choose the photo, and Kobe nodded, giving him permission. Aiden then began flipping through the photo albums and eventually held one up for Kobe to see. He suggested they recreate that specific photo. Kobe's expression turned to one of absolute horror as he stared at the picture Aiden had chosen. It was an embarrassing photo of their younger selves, kissing each other as kids. Flustered, Kobe's cheeks flushed bright red, and without thinking, he punched Aiden's arm in protest. Aiden, amused by Kobe's reaction, reminded him that he had been the one to allow him to choose any photo. Aiden then leaned closer with a teasing grin and asked if Kobe planned to keep whining or if they could start recreating the photo. He even added that he might change his mind and not go through with it at all. Kobe's frustration only grew at Aiden's words. He glared at his friend, fuming in anger, but Aiden appeared to find the situation even more amusing. After calming down, they started trying to recreate the photo. They experimented with various positions to match the original, but when Kobe's lips brushed against Aiden's, he became twitchy and freaked out. Seeing Kobe's reaction, Aiden couldn't resist teasing him and asked if he was flirting. This made Kobe even more flustered as he stammered and told Aiden to hurry up and take the photo. A mischievous smile appeared on Aiden's face as he leaned forward again, his movements deliberate. He playfully tried to deepen the kiss, curious to see if Kobe would react the same way. To his surprise, Kobe's reaction was entirely different. His face turned bright red, blushing so hard that it seemed almost unnatural. Aiden was taken aback by Kobe's response. For a moment, there was an inexplicable expression on his face as he silently observed his friend. Then, without a word, he held Kobe's face gently and leaned in to kiss him again. Kobe, still flustered, tried to protest weakly, saying they should stop. But before he could finish, Aiden moved closer and kissed him deeply once more. Kobe's mind was in turmoil. He questioned whether he could do something like this with his best friend, but his thoughts were a blur. The only thing he could focus on was the person in front of him. Lost in the moment, Aiden's actions became bolder, and it was clear he intended to take things further. Kobe felt a twinge of awareness that this was crossing a line, but he was too overwhelmed by the moment to think clearly. Just as Aiden was about to take the next step, the sound of the door opening shattered the atmosphere. Aiden's mother barged into the room unexpectedly. In a panic, Kobe instinctively reacted by kicking Aiden across the room. Aiden let out a loud groan as he collapsed to the floor, clutching his side in pain. He looked up at Kobe with an incredulous expression, while Kobe stood frozen, mortified by what had just happened. Kobe greeted Aiden's mother, who seemed bewildered by the scene. She then spotted the photo album and excitedly launched into a discussion of their childhood photos, remarking on how adorable they looked as kids. Making eye contact with his friend, the protagonist felt acutely embarrassed by their earlier actions in the room. He quickly excused himself and left. Aiden's mother suspected that they might have had a fight. Aiden denied it, claiming that Kobe had to leave for a part-time job. Still, Aiden's mother urged him not to quarrel with Kobe, emphasizing their close friendship. The protagonist ran home as fast as he could. His heart pounded furiously, and he felt dizzy, forcing him to sit down on the floor. His mind was still reeling from the events that had just transpired. He was shocked that it was the first time in 23 years that his body had reacted so intensely while thinking about his friend. The protagonist and Aiden had known each other for an incredibly long time. Their mothers had met at a postpartum care center and formed a close bond, naturally leading to the development of a deep friendship between Kobe and Aiden. In Kobe's earliest memories, Aiden was always present, and he assumed the same was true for Aiden. Kobe considered himself a disgusting person for entertaining such thoughts about his friend. He tried to dismiss the incident and went to sleep, but his mind remained preoccupied with Aiden, and he awoke the next morning filled with regret and despair. Kobe knew he had to pull himself together. At this rate, he would end up messing up at work. Determined to focus, he went to his part-time job, where his colleagues greeted him cheerfully. However, Kobe could only manage a small nod in response, his thoughts still clouded. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. When he looked at the screen, he flinched upon seeing the name displayed. It was Aiden. The message invited him over for dinner. Kobe felt a pang of disappointment at how casually Aiden was acting, as if nothing had happened between them. He rejected the invitation, using work as an excuse, though in truth, he was too conflicted to face Aiden. He had no idea how he could interact with his friend anymore. While he was changing after his shift, his boss entered the room. The boss, noticing Kobe's distracted demeanor, asked if something was bothering him, mentioning how rare it was to see him sighing like that. Kobe, startled by his boss's sudden concern, quickly said it was nothing. The boss, unconvinced, insisted that Kobe could share his troubles, offering to help if needed. For a moment, Kobe considered opening up, swayed by his boss's reassuring smile. But as the embarrassing memories of what had transpired with Aiden resurfaced, he knew there was no way he could bring himself to talk about it. Flustered, he assured his boss there was nothing to worry about. His boss gave him a strange look, but quickly masked it with a smile. He patted Kobe's shoulder and told him that he could always come to him with any problem. Then, his gaze shifted, and his hand moved slightly to Kobe's waist as he remarked how strapping Kobe always looked. Kobe was taken aback by the unexpected comment and behavior, but chose to brush it off, thanking his boss politely. Before he could process what had just happened, someone called for the boss from outside, and he left the room in a hurry. The protagonist wondered if Aiden had sent any more messages. However, when he checked his phone, there were none. At first he felt a wave of gloom wash over him, but it quickly turned into frustration. He asked himself why he was getting so hung up over that bastard, and scolded himself for wasting energy on something so trivial. Determined to shake it off, he resolved to focus on work instead. After a long and busy day at work, Kobe was completely exhausted. He collapsed onto his bed, his body aching from the day's exertion. However, no matter how much he had to do at work, his thoughts kept drifting back to Aiden. The memory of their kiss replayed in his mind like a broken record. He could still recall the sensation vividly and found himself questioning how he was supposed to just forget something so intense. Suddenly, his phone rang, startling him. He jumped in surprise, but quickly reached for it and answered. It was a call from one of his friends, inviting him out for drinks and some fun. After a brief hesitation, Kobe agreed, thinking that going out and having a good time might help distract him from his spiraling thoughts. The friend was already waiting for the protagonist outside the restaurant. As they walked together, the friend mentioned that he had invited a few other people to join them. When they entered the restaurant, Kobe immediately noticed two more individuals sitting at the table. To his surprise, one of them was none other than Aiden. Aiden greeted Kobe with his usual carefree smile, but Kobe was stunned to see him there. He hadn't expected Aiden to be part of the group. Trying to mask his surprise, he joined them at the table, but his thoughts were in turmoil. The group quickly immersed themselves in drinking and chatting, laughing and exchanging stories. However, Kobe couldn't bring himself to fully engage. His attention kept drifting toward Aiden, who seemed completely composed, laughing and chatting casually as if nothing had happened between them. Watching Aiden's nonchalant behavior filled Kobe with disappointment. It was as if the kiss, which had kept him awake all night and consumed his thoughts, had meant absolutely nothing to his childhood friend. The stark contrast between their emotional states gnawed at him, and he felt a bitter pang of frustration. Unable to deal with his swirling emotions, Kobe began drinking more heavily, hoping the alcohol would dull the ache and help him forget, at least for